Guys, thanks for being here. We got 6 people live. We got about 16, 20 odd people in on the webinar now. Our objective is to teach you a little bit more about Facebook analytics without going down too much to the rabbit hole. So what we're going to do in the next 45 minutes, we are going to show you what Facebook analytics can do, and then we're going to focus specifically on how you are able to use Facebook analytics to surface specific information that happens on your Facebook page, on your website, on your pixel, in combination with Messenger. Please, guys, ask as much questions as you can. If they can wait for about 20 to 30 minutes, please hold them. If not, just drop them in the group, drop them in the chat window. After the presentation is done, we walk you through everything. We will have more than enough time to answer any questions. So, going through this, who's this for? Anyone who wants to understand the complete customer journey across channels from your website to your Facebook page. The beauty of Facebook analytics is that it is able to show you everything that actually happens from the pixel, Facebook page, Messenger, and any other channels in between if you want to service that information. So what to expect? Tom already said it. We need to be careful that we do not go through the rabbit hole and we do not make it too complex, but we know who our audience is, so we're gonna take you on an interesting journey. But still, we're going to scratch the surface. We're going to scratch the surface. We're unfortunately not able to take you down everything, because then we will probably be here tomorrow again. Tomorrow we will still be here tomorrow. Facebook analytics is, as Facebook itself says, this made me laugh, designed to work with Facebook. Yeah, it's Facebook analytics. The beauty of Facebook analytics is that with some simple presses on a button, clicks on a button, you're able to group, let's say, your pixel, your SDK, your pages, and everything you have access to in Business Manager. You can group that, and everything is then pushed to Facebook analytics, where you can pull out data fairly quickly and fairly easy, which we're going to show you today. And the most exciting thing for Facebook analytics, which is probably one of the most recent updates, that it's now compatible with Messenger. So what we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about journeys. We're going to talk about segments, demographics, how to surface that. We're going to talk about funnels, how to use Facebook analytics to create a funnel, how to use Facebook analytics to surface, for example, how many people sent a message to your page and also generated a lead, or how many people send a message to your page or send a message to your business and fired specific events, or even how many reactions on a Facebook post, how many of those reactions, how many people that reacted also send a message to your page. And I keep saying send a message to your page because that's where it all starts. That's the first interaction, when somebody interacts with your Messenger bot, and then you got your replies and everything that comes in. Everything that comes after somebody send a message to your page, conversations, block messages, everything. So we're gonna dive into that. And as already said, we will have time for an FAQ. In the meantime, guys, again, if you got any questions, just drop them in the chat box. I think everybody's muted except for Tom and me, so you are not able to interrupt. So just drop the message in the chat box there. But first, meet the band. You already met Tom. Tom is on the Gold Coast in Australia. It's 7 a.m. in the morning, and he's drinking beer, but we don't judge. I mean, that's part of this whole. I'm Rutger. There he is. Cheers, Tom. Thanks for being here at this time. Cheers. And there's me. Some people call me the bot father. I like to build bots, discuss bots, and play around with Tom to do this kind of stuff to help you grow your businesses and become better Facebook marketers and understand whatever happens on the back end. So let's get started. That said, are there any questions? Do people have any questions, stuff you want to share now, or can it wait for another, let's say, 20 minutes? If nothing, guys, then we're just going to get started. This is the point I'm going to hand over to Tom. And Tom's going to talk about the ZMod, not the ZOMod, but the ZMod. Tom, take it away.
Yeah, sorry about my graphic designer. He was mocking this up. Thought I said ZOMod, not ZMod. But okay, so ZMod's just simply a term used by Procter & Gamble to talk about a classic thing in marketing, which is called the 0 moment of truth. Now, the reason why I'm going into this now is essentially Facebook analytics has a lot more power than analyzing ZMod than Google Analytics, unless you're using a whole lot of YouTube. So ZMod is essentially the 0 moment of truth. It's the time that someone actually triggers or looks at a product or a service and chooses that that's the time to kick these things off and actually purchase the product. So essentially it's the time that the person decides, yes, I want to buy that. Now, Facebook Analytics has got a lot more power than Google Analytics for this one reason. Essentially, a lot of people will react or do a lot more on your social platforms. And I include YouTube in as a social platform. So essentially, they do that before they hit the website. So we know a lot about tracking on the website. We can analyze what they do on the website. We can look at Hotjar and use other apps to analyze what they actually do. We can optimize that. But our job as marketers is also to communicate with them on Facebook platforms and IG, as well as all the other platforms, to communicate them and create a high enough frequency for them to then react and be positive about our brand. So just going on to the next slide. So we'll go right into ZMod further on.
Sorry.
Too much. So the other advantage is retargeting and communication is all ad block free when you're using the Facebook platforms. So I teach a lot of things about in-app and on-platform communication. So on-platform essentially is what Messenger is. In-app is when you load a website inside of that app. So Facebook being the app, the video views, all that stuff you can retarget. Messenger, you can retarget. It's all no external data sources needed.
Canvas ads, lead ads.
Yeah, like so there's actually a big trend in moving away from externalizing data from Facebook. So if you really rely on Facebook to do all the heavy lifting, it's also a good solution. You don't even need a website anymore. We've been testing the Messenger beta, so for payments. So essentially, you can actually buy within Messenger as well. So you don't even, literally the only thing you need the website for is the terms and conditions and privacy policy, which is part of Facebook's terms. So it's really starting to get to the point where you really don't need a website at all. So, but understanding analytics, knowing the three different things is really important. So obviously there's offline as well. So if that's not trackable by any system, obviously that's external data and put back into Facebook to analyze what's actually happening there. But then you've got the pixel. So the pixel will fire in-app. So that's why it's linked there in that graphic. Essentially, if the website is loaded up inside of Facebook, it'll fire the pixel as well. The only caveat there is if you're using Messenger, when you're using a
web view.
Yeah, so what you're doing is you're loading external data inside of Messenger, and if you do that, the pixel won't fire.
So could you give an example of external data loading in Messenger?
So external data is like if you're pulling a web page. So a lot of times you can get away with designing the whole thing in Messenger, but if you can't and you need external functionality like a booking engine or a whole bunch of things, then what you do is you can actually load that certain section of the actual web page without going into technical details into Messenger, and it'll start operating within the app. So that's an in-app function. However,
yeah, that's an actual web view. So that's a mini website created to work in Messenger, to work with the bot. But if we link to an existing web page from within the bot with a regular URL, it will fire your pixel, if I'm correct. Instead, unless you're using a web view. And that's something to keep in mind, guys. If in Messenger, when you add a URL, you can choose native or web view with a certain percentage. If you or when you choose to load that web page in a web view, it will not fire the pixel because you're opening up an iframe, which is the same scenario as Tom just mentioned. So keep that in mind if you're tracking events from clicks outside of Messenger.
So all this is just trying to teach you what inputs are available in Facebook Analytics and what aren't. So essentially, knowing some of the errors that you have, you can then pre-plan to find out an error rate within Analytics as well. Just going on to that next slide. Here we go. So again, going back into the advantages of Facebook Analytics or attribution compared to Google Analytics. Essentially, Google Analytics can only see pixel, offline, and UTMs. So that's the source of where the traffic's coming from. Whereas Facebook, you've got the app, and then you've got Facebook attributes. So that's the actual inside of Facebook. So you can see all the events in attribution on Facebook, and you can only see 3 of them on Google Analytics. Now, there is a system in DoubleClick, which is in beta, that are coming out with stuff where it integrates with Facebook. However, that's still very much in beta, and hopefully Google can pick it up at some stage. But essentially, Facebook's definitely the winner in the way of the exposure that's happening. The only thing that attribution can't really see, and you have to use retargeting lists or display ads to get the data back in, is from YouTube. So that's still a little bit of a gray area, and they're working on that. So,
hey Tom, quick question: what's the big? Because we get this question quite a lot, and I think it's a tricky question to answer because it's fairly technical. But Facebook Analytics and Google Analytics are 2 different beasts. One's Facebook, the other is Google. They both do analytics. What's the biggest difference in actual reporting between Google Analytics and Facebook Analytics?
Well, the main thing is the attribution windows are different. So Facebook's come out with Facebook attribution, which is great, so that we can actually adjust the attribution to the same as Google. So that's one of the key differences why you see different data in Google compared to Facebook. However, so the main differences are the fact that you're seeing a lot more data coming from the actual app. That's the main difference. The other difference is Google Analytics uses a cookie and to track, and whereas Facebook uses a pixel. So they're very different types of technology, doing similar things, but you can also track using cookies in Facebook via Google Tag Manager. So you can fire the pixel via the Google Tag Manager instead of using the pixel. So that brings the 2 systems in line. But as anyone who's from GDPR or from UK knows, you've got some big issues with tracking that way. So they're starting to track it a lot. Yeah,
it's tricky. I'm running into this exact problem with a Dutch client now who's running. It's a funded startup. Long story short, is they are pretty picky on the GDPR stuff, and they just do not want to fire any pixels that are used for retargeting. So we're taking the majority of the campaigns, we're taking it off platform. So actually on platform. So we're using lead ads, canvas ads with forms in order to track. And now we're using Messenger scan code to get everything together. But it's a big deal. It's a big issue.
Yeah. All right. So just moving on to that next one. So the other thing is key to know, and this is technical stuff you should probably know of, is Facebook Messenger uses PS ID, which is a session ID, very similar to how Shopify tracks. So essentially, it's every time you create a session within Facebook or in Messenger, it creates an ID for that. And what we can do in certain programs like ManyChat is we can extract those session IDs and then load them back into Facebook. So that's also an offline-based tracking that we can actually load back in via Messenger, back into Facebook, so that you can see, definitely do 100% match rate on anyone who's actually in Facebook. So instead of using someone's mobile or email, you can actually use the session ID. And
so I just want to chime in there that the PS ID is something different than the ManyChat user ID. And the session ID is the actual unique identifier from specific profile on Facebook, although we're not able to see those actual profiles. But if you go into the unit section of the group, there's a walkthrough there how to export those PS IDs. And I think at some point we're going to dive in a little bit deeper. What is exciting about these PS IDs is that if or when you're using proper tagging structure in your flows, you can export PS IDs based on people who fired a certain tag. So let's say somebody went through your flow and they downloaded the lead magnet, or they purchased or anything, you tagged them. Now you can filter all the people who purchased or who downloaded. You can export the PS ID and you can send that back to Facebook, and you can create custom audiences of those people for retargeting purposes.
And lookalikes, yeah. So essentially, it's great for lookalikes and also creating website custom audiences, so you can do exclusions.
Exclusions, yeah.
All right, just jumping into the walkthrough yet. So I might just start sharing my screen. You stop sharing yours.
Yeah, I'm going to stop sharing. We're going to go into the actual nitty and gritty of the Facebook interface.
So I'm just going to go there. So we're just going to quickly go over settings first, so that you can see how all that works. Essentially, we're not going to go right into how to set this up because it's more advanced. But in your settings, the key things are your time and obviously your price, what you're charging. So they're key things to actually look at. What's connected, and your journey settings. So 7-day, this is just essentially a setting that comes up under journey. So it's an automated system.
Hey, Tom, just going to check quick in. If you change it from combo to PDA, the event source group, then we got some more data in there. We should be able to, do you have, yeah, PDA, top one. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. We got get some more data in there, for example.
Cool. Alrighty, so diving right into the Google Analytics style of Facebook analytics. So obviously you have demographics with the people, so you can analyze what's actually going on, who's visiting, where they're visiting. I mean, it's all very basic stuff. Obviously you use this for horizontal scaling in your ads. So there's a whole range of uses for this. So this is more of a broad overview of your analytics, not so much into Messenger, but we'll get into Messenger in a second. The other thing is the technology, which is similar to Google Analytics, where you can see what they're using, where they're interacting. So this is the stuff that you cannot see in Google Analytics.
Or you don't even see it in Ads Manager. So in Ads Manager, you need to dive a little bit deeper. But if you navigate to Facebook Analytics, you get bird's eye view of this information. It's gold.
Yeah. So the key to that is you can see source, so you can track source via UTMs, but it's a lot harder to do than looking at it in here. So then you can see what OS they're using, again, horizontal scaling, device, who you're targeting. Yeah, classic. I mean, we're not going to go right into that. It's pretty simple stuff. So I want to go into overlap first. We'll come back to lifetime value. So overlap is a pretty key visual representation of data. So all these are really just depending on how you look at Facebook. You've got different ways of looking at it. Okay, so you may be more of a quantitative analysis than a visual, but this is a really good example of visual. So essentially, you're looking at how many people went to your web, also on your Facebook page, and tracked in Messenger. So if you're seeing this isn't 100% of that, then obviously you get traffic from other sources than Facebook itself, and they're not interacting as much with your Facebook page. The more of this overlap, the higher that crossover is. And then obviously you've got these people who have sent a message and interacted with the page and off the web. So this is a message. Yeah, so this is key to knowing how successful or how big a budget you put towards your messenger campaigns.
And this is in the top right corner, you see the three little dots. You can pin it from there. You can pin it to your dashboard. And this is typically, oh, no, not here. This is typically something you could add in your monthly or weekly reporting with your clients. Just take a screenshot of it, and then add it in your reporting.
Yeah, so it's just important to look at. Okay, so I'm just going to move on to events. So this is more of a quantitative analysis of it. Knowing exactly your numbers and looking at this is a good report to look at from a geeky point of view, where you can see all the events that are coming in. A lot of times I'll look at the pixel and look at the actual activity on the pixel to find out where they're coming from and what's being recorded. So this is part of error checking as well. So you can error check to find out if something's missing, say things aren't working anymore. So you can look at exactly what's actually happening and how many users are happening or what the reduction is per month. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but essentially that's what we use it for. Ruka, you use it for anything else other than error checking? And
no, it's error checking and just to get a glance of if things are still moving how we want them to move, and if there's big differences between, let's say, the last 90 days, 28 days. It's just, I use it as at a glance, just a bird's eye view of what's going on.
Yep. Sure. Have you got Journey set up yet? No, you haven't got.
It doesn't pull in data for some reason. I don't know. It's set to pull in data, but if you could try, and I tried it. If you check the include last 28 days box.
Yeah.
So it's set up, but for some reason didn't pull it in.
Journey time frame. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to skip over journeys now. Journeys essentially is where they went. It's very similar to Google Analytics, where you can look at how the person went from what to what. So you can see the amount of people who went through a certain type of journey to your end result. So this is very similar to funnels, but it's a little bit more advanced because you can see multiple funnels.
You can see different channels as well. So let's say that they touched a mobile device, or they started on a mobile device and then they ended on, let's say, Messenger through a desktop device. I think that's what it sort of does. Not sort of, in a nutshell.
Okay, so breakdowns. You can create a breakdown. Let's just do that. So again, you're seeing a detailed view. So, for example, of the amount of people who are starting new conversations. So maybe you're running an ad to 18 to 25-year-olds. This one hasn't got much data on it, but essentially you'll see 25 to 35, age group creating new conversations. I'll just go to create a conversation at all.
Message sent. Oh, there you go.
Again, it's so the thing is with Facebook Analytics, you can't pull the data into Excel. So essentially, you're doing everything in this platform. A lot of people quantitative analysis check it, and then what they do is they pull it to external software and then they analyze it. So Facebook's trying to give you all the detail and all the breakdowns within the one view, so that you can actually strip this down. So we use this essentially to work out what campaigns.
Are you aware, Tom, of any? I know there's a button in there that says create a custom audience from specific data set. Do you know if that's already possible?
From a specific data set, as in different.
From the dashboard. So let's say people send a message.
You can see new compared to old, but you can't do specific campaigns yet. You can label them, but it's not breaking it down unless you go into your journey, so you can see the journeys a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is we're limited because this is not a custom. Most of the time, you're not using custom bots, using Messenger, ManyChat, or
Chatfuel. Oh.
So essentially, what you're doing is you can't create those custom events. As soon as you can create those custom events, or actually put conversion events on your data, then that's when it's similar to what tags are. So essentially, you got to use this with ManyChat. ManyChat can do that, whereas this one can't.
And the custom events are common. Custom events, app events are common. They already exist. So and I don't think, and raise your hand if you are one of those, if you have a custom built bot, which means a bot that lives outside of ManyChat, outside of Chatfuel. I don't know what kind of tools we have these days. You are able to fire app events inside the bot, which can be used for optimization. That is common to ManyChat, which was mentioned by Facebook in, when was it? October. We were there during the conference. So hopefully in the first quarter of next year, that will actually be added to ManyChat, which will be a game changer in my opinion.
Yeah, oh, totally. So that way you can see individual traction through certain types of funnels. Okay, so in retention, you had cohort set up the same as retention. Essentially what this is looking at how long, how many weeks the user is integrating with you. So you can see this in Google. You can actually see the time to purchase in Google. So similar to that, essentially what you're doing is seeing how long someone is retained within your communication funnels, and what percentage of are still talking to you, which is about right, guys. Essentially, the average on websites is 1%, as we know, conversion rate. So essentially, when you're converting at 2%, 2.5, you're doing pretty good. So retaining that, unless you've got a recurring revenue model and that you want that a lot higher.
Mm-hmm.
So
could you give a quick breakdown of what retention actually is? How should we use this retention section in our analysis? Because it tells us the weighted average. I'm to be honest, I'm often a bit lost at the retention.
Well, essentially, it's pretty straightforward. Essentially, on day one, obviously you've got 100%, and then this will fluctuate based on the time. Types of campaigns. So if you've changed something in your creative or your ad system, and you're looking to get a higher retention, so that basically it's someone coming back to your Facebook page, or someone coming back, instead of, yes, we can track if they've come back to our website and if they're on our app, but this is if they've come back and actually integrated, basically came back and watched another video on Facebook, or they've sent another message, or a whole range of things you can actually analyze with this. So as time goes on, you can see whether you're creating a higher performance in certain days or weeks, and see, the result or flow on effect of that. So see if you've got a higher rate here, does that flow on through here? So without going really into the specifics of the data, essentially what you're looking for is the flow and effect of changes that you create within your creative or in your organic posts that you're doing, and how much that affects. So it's basically seeing how much frequency you can also get So say, for example, you need to touch a person 3 or 4 times before they actually even react to something. You can see that by page views, or in the case of Facebook, you can see on video views through this. So yeah, that answer that question.
Yeah, cool, thanks. This is where the magic happens.
Yeah, so I guess this is really a powerful tool, user journey. So essentially what you're looking at here is, let's look at this one, page views to message sent. So it's a really important analytics tool to actually map out your journey. You should probably create a brand new funnel as well, so you can see what you're doing. So essentially you're adding steps through here. So you can look at page view, but let's go to post comments, which is probably even more interesting. So you can actually look at post comments through to whether they sent a message or a new message. I satisfy overall. Sorry.
If you click on the plus, so yeah, there you go, that one, yeah.
So the key here is also the types of comments. You can do comments. It's essentially that 243 people came to comment on a post and had 4 messages sent as a result of it. So if you're running a really intense competition, you should see this increase significantly. You should, because it's click to send a message or whatever. So you'll see that one go up and down. So you can actually analyze your actual funnel from where that's coming on. Where this thing really comes into its own is types of post reactions. Like this is what everyone shows, which is quite amazing. So these are your post reactions to message sent. But essentially, if you're running a post reaction and you want people to then love, or the amount of times that they want to react compared to it, so you can actually see the different types of post reactions in analytics.
So if you click, select parameter, I think it's right there. No, it's sorry, it's the other one. Select parameter. There you go, and then post reaction type.
Yeah.
And then you can put it in.
Like love, and wow.
Let's see what, and then just want to take it one step back. Wow, that's some big data right there. That's really cool. So look, but keep in mind, guys, that this is, I know a lot of you run competitions for your clients, or you use the comment growth tool where you ask people to comment on a post and then actually fire a flow and deliver stuff in your flow. That is where you will get awesome data. If you're running that type of campaigns, this is where you want to be. This is where you want to start extracting data on how successful those campaigns actually were. Because in this scenario, you can actually see post reactions. If you set it to post comments, Tom, could you set it to post comments?
Yep.
And I don't think you can identify a specific post.
No,
pretty sure you can't. No.
Yeah. So demographics, device info, web parameters.
That's it. But this is where, what happens if you click post? Can you click on this? Ooh, look at that. So you can select individual posts. So when you're running, for example, if you're using, Jamie did this. Jamie, I think you were running the Black Friday Messenger bot, and you used Facebook pages to people to comment to get into your flow. This is where you can get the exact data in a bird's eye view. So you go to your funnel, set up your funnel, choose post comments, select the specific post you're promoting, and then add the number of then add in the second step the messages sent. And the messages sent are the number of messages that are actually sent to your page. And then you could even refine it further by finding replies and conversations.
Yeah, so you can do multiple
posts. This is where the actual magic is. When you're running these types of campaigns for PDA in this scenario, we're not running any specific campaigns with the common growth tool or any specific messenger campaigns currently. So that's why you don't see any data. But I think if you're taking away anything from this workshop, this is where you should start poking around, and especially if you're running that types of campaigns where you're using the common growth tool, or you're running retargeting campaigns of people who engage with your page, PPE last 30 days, send them a message, retarget them with a messenger campaign, anything.
For organic, this is gold as well. So anything that's actually happening organically on your page, you can do that. I guess we're not running any campaigns that way, so it's a little bit harder to.
True. For this in this scenario, we're not running any campaigns. Although all the messages received are organic, so we're getting quite a lot of, I think, 3 to 5 organic messages per day.
Yeah.
So that's still what. Yeah.
So the only issue I've got with analytics this way is essentially you can't, unless you're comparing funnel by funnel, you can't extract this data and find out the competition. But essentially, you're looking at the data and then recording it externally. You can't export that. So essentially, you can't see that this post comment through the message, through the lead, had resulted in this. You can see the conversion rates of people, but you can't then compare that overall with something else. So I do a lot of comparisons to find out what testing. So they're actually looking at the entire journey. And I find journeys are better than funnels that way. It's just funny that it's not coming up. But essentially the difference between the journey and this is you're actually looking at how they got to where they got to.
Awesome.
Revenue, obviously, if you're doing a lot of e-commerce, the fact that it's come from this is a.
We're not running any. No, we're not running any purchases here. Hey, you just mentioned a beta for Facebook purchases. Anything you can share about that? Because we can do purchases in ManyChat. Is that different?
Oh, well, the essentially e-commerce is coming through into Messenger. So essentially, what you're doing is you're purchasing within Facebook Messenger using Stripe. And therefore you're not even hitting the web page. So essentially that's you need to use these tools to track it than say relying on Google Analytics, because or you'd have to go back into it. The other cool thing I do with I love this filter. So I don't know if you guys have done a lot of this, but essentially you can also see a funnel coming from traffic source. So you can actually see if they're coming from Google and how much they're coming from Google relative to the pixel. So say, for example, you do have purchases, you can actually compare Facebook with Google. So what that's really useful for is if you're running brand-based campaigns on Google search or display ads from Google search and you're using Facebook at the same time. So the key here is if you're using Facebook Messenger combined with Instagram. So a lot of people from Instagram, what they'll do is they'll Google the brand instead of clicking on the ad. So essentially they've seen something on Instagram. It's not a clickable link, so therefore then they Google it and then they come in through a brand search ad. So the attribution thinks it's a Google result, but it's actually coming from IG. So combining all that, you can actually then see how Google or what traffic is coming from Google and what traffic is coming from Facebook itself.
Cool. Is there any chance we can create a filter that says, okay, search traffic source is Google and or Bing or whatever, and then see? Because what I love, guys, and if you haven't set this up yet, take some time to do so. But the customer chat plugin, the Messenger customer chat plugin, if you're getting a decent amount of organic traffic to your website, the customer chat plugin is a great way to capitalize on that actual organic traffic to get people into your Messenger bot.
Right. Yeah. So these are the filters up here. You can use your filters to, it's a shame we haven't got any data in the thing, so I can't really show you that part. But you know, obviously you've got filters, and you can actually filter out by traffic source by Google. You can add to it as well, so you can actually filter it out, which is a useful tool when you're coming down to breaking the data down further, so that you can actually see exactly what you want to look at instead of.
Can we create a scenario where we could see the number of people that came in through, let's say, traffic source is Google, who send the message to the page?
Yeah.
Or traffic source is one of the big search engines.
I can't remember how to do that.
Wouldn't that be source? Filter it. You still got the filter up there. You might want to kill that one. All the way to the right. There you go. So maybe that is messing it up.
Should be source.
No.
You can do it, I just can't remember the step right off. You know, Google, Rig has thrown something to me. You can actually do this. So essentially, you can look at source via lifetime value, revenue. I usually look at. I'm an e-commerce guy, so I'm always looking at revenue via the funnel. So it's a little bit. Yeah, but let's get back to Messenger, Ruka. So message sent by. Oh yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Nice.
Channel.
Event. No, that's event source. Yeah. Channel.
Traffic source. There you go.
Search. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, awesome. I'm curious about this one.
Yeah. So essentially, this is looking at how you can break that down. You can't see that at the moment, but you can. Yes, by search engine. There you go. So you can see traffic source by search engine and then message. So again, not enough data in here, but you can see. So say your entry point on a Facebook message campaign is the website itself. This is really important. So if the pop-up comes up from your website and they click on it, you can calculate it by that. Anything else, Ricky, you want to go over? We're pretty much running out of time. So,
no, I think the funnels to actually use the funnels. Yeah, the dashboard, that's cool to show. I think the funnels are for the majority of us that are using ManyChat or ChatView or whatever to build their bots, that the funnels should be an eye-opener how to find data of people actually reacting on your website, on your Facebook page in Messenger. Dashboard is pretty cool. You can create, yeah, there you go. If you click on the events or funnels, it just pulls in the data. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah. What my advice would be for people, if you want to get in, is just go into your business manager, set up the event source groups, and log into Facebook Analytics, and just start poking around, see what it does.
We haven't gone right into event source groups yet in the conversation. So the other thing is you need to make sure that you've got your event source group set up. So that combines any data pixel coming into analytics. So once you've got that, then this all works. So event source groups are in your business manager. And you can create your event source group from there. So you can add the pixel to the Facebook page. So essentially that's what's happening here is you're combining Facebook pages with pixels itself.
And it's super easy. So the only thing you need to do is you need to navigate to your business manager and then search for event source group. And then from there, you need to select your attributes, pixel, page, and then it's done. It's super easy. I personally find it more easy than setting up Google Analytics.
So just going into the Q&A side of things, guys, just check in chat, put it up in chat. I'll stop sharing my screen. And
also, people on the live, we got some people watching live in the group. Guys, any questions on how to use Messenger, no, not Messenger. Facebook Analytics for Messenger. From me or for Tom?
So one of the questions that we got in before was about minimum effective dose. So minimum effective dose, guys, dose is essentially how many times it takes for something to happen or react. So in Facebook Analytics, you can create a parameter called count, and you can see how many times someone's reacted to something before they've then sent a message. So say, for example, they've commented twice, liked something 3 times. You can see all that. So you can actually see how many times someone has done something before doing that. So essentially, when you're doing e-commerce stuff, you want people repeat purchases and so on. So you can actually see how many times they've interacted with your page. If you're trying to get that as high as you can, obviously, but say we've got impulse purchase, then they may only react once and then purchase. Whereas if it's a considered purchase, they may have to see something 5 or 6 times before they actually then send a message. So in Messenger, you're looking at how many times they've liked, commented, shared something before they've hit the actual page.
So the only tricky thing with that is we're not able to create custom audiences from people who engage multiple times, are we? So we can create audience for people who engage in last 1 day, 7 days, 30 days, whatever, but we're not able to create audiences of people who interacted with our page, let's say 5 times in the last 7 days.
Correct, yeah. So the other question was about building audiences from certain events. So essentially, I think we answered that before. Look, you can't create an actual custom event unless you create a custom bot, but you can do it in ManyChat by exporting those PS IDs. So that's how we do it. We use PS IDs, export them from certain events, tags, using tags, and then we upload that to Facebook.
And there's a video in the group, in the unit section, how to use the PS IDs. Matt, I'm not sure if you're still here. I know you logged in. So this is your question. How can we build audiences from events? It's coming. I don't know when. I know where it's coming in ManyChat, but I don't know when. But it's coming. So until then, we have to use, as Tom already said, use tags to create filters from people who took specific actions, export those PS IDs, upload them to Facebook, and then use Facebook Analytics to understand how people actually react with our campaigns, sending a message to the page from their trigger events on our web pages.
Yeah, so you can do a lot of analysis. You can't really use that data. You can't create custom audiences from that data, but what you can do is reverse engineer stuff. And then once you've reverse engineered it, then you can actually then build a custom conversion campaign via Facebook itself based on that reverse engineered part. So you may be looking at a frequency of 3 count on certain thing, and that'll create the custom audience, which is very similar or very close to what you're trying to do by using events within ManyChat or chat field to then trigger something.
Matt, you're still here. You just commented. Did it answer your question? Just let me know if that answers your question. I expect so. Then there was a question from my fellow Dutchman, Titus. He would love to know what the medium effective dose is for the Facebook Analytics setup. Do we need a minimum amount of data to get reliable data out of Facebook Analytics, Tom? What do you think?
So Facebook Analytics, because it's not exportable, and you can't use it for custom audiences, you can go down to one person. So it's great. You can actually see exactly how many people integrated with certain things. So in your breakdowns, you'll actually see less than 100, which is what we were seeing in that account before.
Yeah.
So it's not a minimum. It's a lot more accurate than when you're using There are other tools where you have to have a minimum of 100 to 500, depending on certain things you're trying to do. So, obviously, if creating lookalike audiences, you need that. Essentially, because it's not exportable, they give you a lot more data. So even very simple things, you can actually really narrow down exactly what's going on within your Facebook ecosystem to find out, exactly what happened. So the beauty of it is, if you know the name of that person and they purchased pink chicken instead of red chickens, then you know that, okay, this funnel's really good for creating pink chicken sales. So, you can really analyze it down into that level by looking at that level of detail within Facebook Analytics and Messenger as well.
So, Tom, I got a question on this one. Do you think, or do you know maybe that what's happening with Facebook Analytics, let's say in 2019? I know it's a fairly new tool. It's still fairly high level. We're not able to create custom audiences, etc. Are you aware of any big stuff coming up on Facebook Analytics, say in 2019?
So you're probably aware that Facebook attribution came out. Facebook attribution is far more powerful. It's very much more like bringing it into line with how you would use Google Analytics, or actually a more advanced version of Google Analytics like Google 360. But the main thing is with attribution. So what they're trying to do is track as much data as what Google does. Now, Google has certain advantages, like things like UTM. So if you're using UTMs and you're linking that up, then the updates to analytics and also attribution, you should be able to start getting as good a conversion data as Google Analytics. However, Facebook know they're not on par with Google Analytics that way yet. So
exactly. Yeah.
They're struggling to get up to that point, but essentially that's the main update. Look, the huge updates will be tracking conversion events within
in Messenger.
Bot, yeah,
exactly. And then hopefully in the first quarter, but this is by no means a promise, or I know when it will drop. Facebook told us at the conference that it is something they're working on. ManyChat and Facebook told us that's something they're working on, that the ability to track events inside of Messenger using ManyChat. So that will be a big one. Guys, that said, Matt has another question. Any gold nuggets you could leave me with for utilizing this for local franchise gym? We're running Facebook ads to offer split testing landing pages versus Messenger bots. Oh yeah, definitely.
Overlap, great tool for that. So
yeah,
seeing your overlap. So it's all about it's all about multiple devices and different campaigns. And the main thing is to try to find the budget allocation you need to shift towards certain campaigns. So you could do that by Facebook Analytics and Messenger. So looking at local gyms, essentially when we ran gym campaigns, the Messenger bot was a really good way of doing it. But you've got to remember, you could combine SMS marketing with Messenger bots by using a .me tag in your actual SMS as well.
The ref URL. But wouldn't this setup is just think with me here, if you would use a funnel to measure the effectiveness between actual pixel fires from, so what you could do, you can create a funnel that says, okay, people that send a message to the page and fired an event at some point, because Matt, at some point they need to convert somewhere, versus people who visited this page based on a UTM parameter, and then compare that with the number of events fired from that.
I'd have to look at any. There might be some updates in there that I haven't seen that working very well. The main thing is the UTM part is probably where it breaks the most. But essentially, yes, you could do certain setups to see how you break that down by a specific message, I don't think it's possible. But
what I would do, Matt, is make sure you add a UTM parameter to the URL of your landing page. And what you could do as well, and we're probably going to drop something in the group for this, is create specific UTMs for URLs in your Messenger bot. So make sure you segment based on that, so you can use those UTM parameters to track back in Facebook Analytics where, through which UTM, what was happening.
Yeah, look, what I do is I try and reverse engineer it, Matt. So when I realize a certain tool can't do something, what I do is go, okay, can I get that data out via another tool? So I'm always using Facebook attribution, Facebook Analytics, as well as Google Analytics combined. And that gives you a lot better, analysis of actually how to do something that's actually coming from a certain source. So if Messenger campaign, you know that Messenger campaign is going to trigger a certain URL, then what you can do is you pick up the conversation from Facebook. Okay, 2,000 people and 29% clicked on a message. 29% clicked on a message, then clicked on 4% clicked on a source, which is click through to this. Then I look at Google Analytics and go, okay, well, they went through from this, and then they clicked on 3 pages, and they took 2 days to purchase the
easy, Matt, just like that. And just the one thing I want to add to that is make sure you add the customer chat to your landing page. I've seen it as a huge helpful tool that is fairly easy to install and can be really helpful. Guys, we passed the hour. We can talk for probably a couple hours more, but if you guys don't have any questions, I just want to double check in the group, and we're going to wrap this up, and we're going to make sure that there's a recording available for you guys. If there are no questions.
There's just one more question from John about the Messenger subscriber. So John, you can actually value subscribers using this tool. So is an email compared to a Messenger subscriber worth more value? Well, you can actually calculate that. That's how cool this thing is. You can actually then reverse engineer this so that you can work out that if 10 people clicked on a Messenger and it became a purchase, then you can actually see the actual value of a Messenger subscriber relative to a email subscriber via source. So yeah, you can actually break that down. So what is the value? Is it 5 to 10x? Look, the click-through rate's way higher, but look, emails still work. So, and email is also external. So don't put all your eggs in one basket because you won't get any chickens. So what you want to do is make sure that you have multiple databases and securing your subscription list by SMS, email, as well as on Messenger.
Yeah, guys, don't put your eggs in one basket. Use Messenger, use SMS, use email, and build clever funnels. Brandon, I was wondering if we could automate exporting the PSDs, or if you have to manually do it. Short answer is you're not able to automate it. The longer answer is you can semi-automate it. And then we got a system in place for that, which we're going to drop anytime soon. And I know that there are people out there that created custom Zapier apps that connect ManyChat with Facebook to be able to automate it, but those apps are only on invite. And we probably will have the creator of that app anytime soon here live. I'm going to stick to the short answer. No, it's not possible. Unfortunately, I wish it was.
Okay. Jamie, through email, CRM to Zapier, you can check that. Yes, 100% if you're using SMS or email. But if you're talking about PS ID, we've gone down this rabbit hole a few times, and we're still in that rabbit hole.
If you know, stand up, please. But no.
Because essentially, it's the most powerful part about what we're trying to do is exclusion lists and cleaning up lookalike audiences so that you can really have a clean bit of data to then advertise to. So think of how powerful it is. If they do a certain journey and they say no to the product offer, you pull that PS ID out, throw it back into lookalike audience, exclude it, bang, you've got you know, a lot cleaner data to work from. So you're always cleaning your data up from your lookalike audiences as well via your PS.
But it's still a manual process, and to some extent it's a manual process, so it's tricky. IDs, Jamie, yes. ManyChat IDs, that is easy because you're able to export ManyChat IDs into Zapier, but you're not able to automate export of those PS IDs, unfortunately. And if you know a way, I know we'll be chatting tomorrow, so let me know if you find a way, then probably come and visit you and bring you some wine or something. But we were not able to find, yeah. I think so. Well, Jim, let's discuss tomorrow, but I'm pretty sure if we're talking IDs, the answer is yes. If we're talking PS IDs, the answer is 100% no. And I'll be the first one to admit or be amazed if it's true. Yeah, yes. So IDs, yes. PS IDs, the actual Facebook ID, no, because you need to connect with Facebook and everything. ManyChat IDs, that's possible. Hopefully answer that. And we're going to drop something pretty cool on this anytime soon. Answer is it is semi-automated, but we found something that is helpful. Marco, the analytics dashboard is amazing. Thanks, man. Just let us know if you've got any questions on that. You need any help with that? Dorn, comment growth to funnel report built for your clients. That's awesome. Feel free to share. I think that's it, guys. I think that's it.
All right, I'm going to go have a coffee.
Have a coffee. I'm going to walk the dog and have another beer. Tom, thank you for everything. Have a great day. Guys, thank you for being here again. It was broadcast in the group, so you can see the replay there from probably in 5 minutes from now, and we will be uploading the recording tomorrow to the unit section. For now, thanks everybody. Have a great day, and see you soon. Thanks, Tom. Bye.